story I'd like you to fall asleep to tonight is called A Little Something Extra.
My plan was to pursue a writing career, but something happened my first week in Hollywood. I was bitten by the dangerous and potentially deadly acting bug, which burrows itself under the skin before sucking the lifeblood out of one's arteries. I had acted in high school plays, but didn't know if I was any good. I could memorize lines, emote my little heart out, and even sing now and then, but I was never asked to play any role of particular depth. I was an overactor. I've often wondered how I would handle a tearful confession or a powerful scene of heartbreak. Not well, I imagine. I'm expressive in real life. Every emotion is vivid and animated. But as an actor, I'm sure to possess the subtlety of Nicolas Cage losing his virginity. Try it a few times, said my friend Chris Rasmussen. She was always pushing me to do things that would make her laugh, including the writing of this book. You'll enjoy it. I give you my word. As an aspiring writer, my place was behind the scenes, but I wasn't one to let lack of talent stop me. I jumped into this dream face forward, ankles to the wind. Editor's note. Check to see if that's a real expression. I would need headshots to market myself as the next big thing. I came to town with the $6,000 I had saved the previous year working at the Christian bookstore. It wasn't as dramatic as $100, pack of cigarettes, and a big dream story celebrities tell Jimmy Fallon, but I'm a pragmatist. From the bedroom I rented in topless Bruce's house in the San Fernando Valley home, I charted my strategy. I would save money and make my own headshots from an old picture of me in Florida, fully clothed on a beach, having a great time. I was the only English-speaking person on the bus to Kinko's. I spent hours trying to work the color copier, a costly learning process, at $1 a page. Eventually, I enlarged my 3x5 to a grainy 8x10. In my room, I displayed the 50 headshots on my double bed, crossing my arms in satisfaction. Each boldly proclaimed, Dan Steadman, actor. Who could resist the charming young hopeful strutting down the beach without a care? Casting directors would flip. I would land a role as a hardened perp on NYPD Blue in no time. I printed out the addresses of several hundred talent agencies from the America Online Yellow Pages. The only thing slowing me down was that tedious dial-up internet speed and the accompanying screeching sound that would send me to an early grave. From the moment I announced my intention to be an extra, everyone seemed to have a story about doing background work. It's like when you learn the meaning of a word like perspicacious, and suddenly you hear everyone using it, and you wonder if the whole world has been saying perspicacious your whole life, and why are you the only stupid one who hasn't caught on yet? The barber cutting my hair told me he could currently be seen on Fox, eating soup over Callista Flockhart's shoulder. He was out of focus in the scene, but I might spot him when he scratched the left side of his face. On the bus, I had a conversation about show business with a man lying face down on the seat, head supported by a pillow made of dirty newspapers being held together by used Band-Aids. His eyes rolled back into his head as he cautioned, "Don't do extra work. It's so degrading, completely beneath you." My boyfriend Adam loaned me his SUV for the trip to the casting office. I hopped in and switched the radio station to Hot 104.3, where Enrique Iglesias was singing his latest hit through his mole. I wasn't in the mood for his nasally Spanglish, so I turned the radio back off. Unfamiliar where I was going, I grabbed the Thomas Guide map from the back seat and set my course, determined not to be late. Just to be on the safe side, I cushioned myself with an additional 2-hour time frame. I was taking this job opportunity very seriously. I arrived at the cross streets of Melrose and La Brea in 25 minutes. I parked the vehicle and decided to check out the locals. The street did not disappoint. I saw a lot of Juicy Couture, a popular clothing brand that bedazzled the rear ends of young women who probably left home without saying goodbye to their fathers. I witnessed a wealthy woman giving Evian water to the puppy squirrel in her handbag. On the other end of the spectrum were the droves of hipsters, looking so uniformly original that they all resembled each other. Melrose had everything but Heather Locklear running an apartment complex, which was the main thing I was hoping to find. I did, however, notice a guy who looked like Andrew Shue selling used sneakers out the back of his VW. I think it might have been Andrew Shue. At the AA&A casting office, I chatted it up with other background talent hopefuls. Some of them were showbiz vets who had been doing extra work since the early 90s, and they regaled me with tales of working with everyone from Nicole Eggert to William Dafoe, from Skeet Ulrich to Tia Carrere. I was impressed by their lineup of luminaries. At 2 o'clock, a woman named Jelani Sanders came outside with a notepad in hand and a bra strap that refused to do its job. She was accompanied by a bony guy named Kyle, spelled with a C, clasping a Polaroid camera. "Who can work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and possibly Monday?" she asked bluntly, not bothering to crack a smile. I mentally flipped through my calendar and remembered I had no life. "I'm totally free," I blurted out with a raised hand. "You're playing busboy number 1, Jelani said, tugging on her rebellious bra strap. "Wardrobe fitting this afternoon, take his picture." Kyle with a C snapped a photo of my delighted face. A career in show business was going to be easier than I'd planned. Hours later, a wardrobe stylist was measuring my inseam, running her hand up my inner thigh until she hit flesh. "You're a 32, darling," she informed. She found a white jacket, black pants, and shiny shoes for me to wear in my role as busboy number 2. She wrote my name on a strip of masking tape and wrapped it around the hanger. I couldn't believe it. I was going to be in a major motion picture. To express my thanks, I whipped out one of my new 8x10 headshots and autographed it. "Thanks for making me look so good. See you at the movies, Dan Steadman." On my way out, I caught her tossing it in the garbage. I tried to give one to Kyle with a C, but he just laughed at me. Back at the casting office, they handed me 8 pages of instructions. Attached was the first call sheet I'd ever seen, a list of times when all the major players were set to arrive on set each day. We never made call sheets back on Danny the Clown. It would have just said my name, Bill Popchus's name, and perhaps the names of all the puppets we operated. This particular call sheet had the first 2 names of the lead actors, Julia and Catherine Z. "I'm sorry," I said, approaching Jelani Sanders. "Are these the names of the actors who will be appearing in our scene?" "Julia Roberts and Catherine Zeta-Jones. Yeah," she shrugged. Sensing our excitement, Jelani reminded everyone that on big film sets, extras are, quote, props that eat, also known as, quote, props with a pulse. We were only allowed to talk to each other in the holding area, but under no circumstance were we to speak or make eye contact with the, quote, above-the-line crew, directors, producers, stars. If you had a question, you asked a production assistant or an assistant director. No matter, I was thrilled. I literally skipped down the sidewalk toward my car. The only thing missing was an oversized carnival lollipop. America's Sweethearts was a big 4-day shoot. It involved a pivotal fight scene in the plot, and that's why it took so long to shoot from so many different angles. I couldn't believe my dumb luck landing in such a high-profile studio feature with all of the major actors in the same scene. The first day involved Billy Crystal and Seth Green making their big entrance. Everything went well, and I avoided getting fired. Day 2 was memorable because Hank Azaria hung out with us lowlifes in between a scene. Even then, I knew this never happens. It was cool he was treating us as though our lives had value. The gist of the conversation between him and all 100 of us was on the subject of reality shows. Hank's prediction? They'll never last. On day 3, I couldn't stop staring at Julia Roberts' coffee cup from Starbucks. She had been sipping it all morning on her cigarette breaks in between takes. When she finally tossed it, I became a man on a mission to retrieve that cup from the trash so I could sell it on eBay for thousands. I was going to seize the moment and take advantage of everything life had to offer, just as Julia had taught me to do so in so many of her films. Unfortunately, another extra had learned the same lesson, and she was closer in proximity to the garbage can. She snatched that cup from the trash like the hamburger, zipping it up in her purse before anyone could see her. The last day of shooting, I finally worked up the nerve to make my own move. I wasn't leaving the set until I got a moment with Julia. Speaking to an actor was immediate grounds for dismissal. I would never work for Central Casting again if I blew it. But the $50 a day they were paying me wasn't as valuable as FaceTime with an A-lister. Julia had won the Golden Globes for Aaron Brockovich a few days prior. This will be my opening line, I mused. I will congratulate her for the big win. She will be turned by my boldness and invite me to her trailer for a second opinion of some sort, on something mundane. I'll go, of course, and say something so funny she'll do that horse laugh thing she's paid $20 million a picture to do. She will think I'm, quote, hilarious, end quote, and will see me as a normal person who can keep her grounded in reality. Our friendship will grow from there and really blossom into something beautiful and lifelong. I had these thoughts while holding a pitcher of ice water I had been given as a prop. I was a busboy in the scene. I looked down. Sometimes your future is already in the palm of your hand, I thought profoundly. Excuse me, Julia, would you like some water? I found myself daring to ask as the rest of the extras were being herded from the room back to Middle-earth where they belonged. Sure, thanks, she said, smiling. That smile valued at $20 million a picture. Nervously, I poured the water as she spoke to her makeup artist. When she turned back to me, I was standing there with a glass of water, holding it in front of her face, as if I was going to grab her by the back of her neck and pour the water down her throat. You can set it down, she said with a smirk. It was almost as if she'd had encounters with giddy fans. I set the water down and mumbled something about congratulations on winning the Golden Globe. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, she replied, as if I were the first person to give her a job well done. She was sincere and authentic. Then again, she had a Golden Globe Award for being a great actor.